From the New York Times, House passes bill to force TikTok sale from Chinese owner or ban the app. The legislation received wide bipartisan support, with both Republicans and Democrats showing an eagerness to appear tough on China. So it was, what did it bill? It passed 352 to 65, massively bipartisan. And what we're seeing right now is a divided punditry class on social media. I believe Sagar and Jetty had the best response to this. And he said, it's very simple. We are not allowed to do business in China. Why are they allowed to do business here? Simple question. He gave a much more deep and thorough explanation than just that, but I think he made probably the best point in all of this. However, what I see from most people, Tucker Carlson making the point that they could just ban anything. You've got Michael Tracy arguing that it could ban a website, a desktop application, mobile application, augmented or immersive technology. I got to tell you, this one really, really bothered me. By all means, if you think the bill should not pass because TikTok should be freely allowed to operate their algorithms in the United States, affecting the U.S. population, fine. That's your opinion. Say it. Great. I disagree. I think it is a serious issue when a foreign adversary, namely China, is manipulating the algorithm so the likes of Dylan Mulvaney become particularly prominent in American culture. Why would we allow a foreign adversary to dictate what we build in culture is insane to me. And as most of you know, I think culture, it's Andrew Breitbart said it, culture is, politics are downstream from culture. Nothing's more important. In terms of winning the political battle, you have to build the cultural base. And a Chinese application that not only is collecting our data, is going to deeply affect politics. Take a look at what just happened when they were proposing this bill. TikTok sent a notification to everyone saying, call your reps and stop them from doing this. That is an insane amount of power for a foreign adversary to have. Now imagine this. You get China about to invade Taiwan, and you have a bunch of politicians with varying opinions on it. Imagine there are many members of Congress who have publicly stated, we will not allow China to build military bases, invade Taiwan. So what happens? A week before Election Day, TikTok sends out a notification to only the people they believe will vote Democrat or in opposition and say, don't forget to vote. We learned that from Dr. Robert Epstein. So now, while many people are concerned about what this bill can do, I want to, we'll discuss it and break down what it can and cannot do. And the first thing I will say, many people are asking, why is it? Why now? Donald Trump wanted to ban TikTok. Most people agreed with it back then, and that bill was way worse. And now that there's actually something that's very narrow and limited moving through, for some reason, everyone on the right is saying, no, we shouldn't do this, even Donald Trump. The one thing I will say is that changed Israel. The catalyst for this, in my opinion, was that when woke garbage is appearing on TikTok and it's flooding the feeds of all these young people and literally driving them to self-harm, Tourette's, and suicide. It's psychotic. Instagram's no saint here either. Nobody cares. As soon as October 7th happens, TikTok begins showing prominently pro-Palestine content more so than pro-Israel content, resulting in a paranoid eruption from many politicians saying, whoa, this undermines American interests in the Middle East. Now they want to ban or control the app. But Jake, I know you have a lot of understanding of this. So can you break down the gist of what the bill does? We can pull it up too and show people.
Absolutely. So I think the most important thing to understand right at the top is that this bill is about the conduct of ByteDance, not the content on TikTok. And so right off the rip, when this was announced, you had all sorts of corporate lobbyists coming out and saying this is a First Amendment violation. But there is no First Amendment protection for data harvesting operations that are sending data back to China and using it against the American people. And so this bill aims to address that phenomenon, not the content on the platform. And this is where it gets difficult. There's a million reasons to ban TikTok. This just happens to be about the data. And so this is the pathway they chose. And what the bill does is that it names 4 adversary states: Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. Only apps within those countries that also pose a national security threat that also look essentially just like TikTok, that is why they named TikTok, it's structured around TikTok, could ever be covered. And so you have all this misinformation floating around from corporate lobbyists that are trying to appeal to your emotions, right? Like, we all love Rumble, we all love X. So the first thing they claim is that this is going to be used to ban Rumble and X. And you're being sold a bill of goods, right? Like, they are trying to appeal to your emotion, trying to activate you against your congressional member to kill this thing. And it is not organic. There's a lot of money floating around. These are paid comments being made. And it is a Chinese influence operation from the top down. Like, what do you call sending push notifications to millions of devices with outright lies about the contents of the bill and asking them to call their member?
So this is what we saw from Thomas Massie. He grabbed a snippet of this, highlighted a single word, and tweeted out the image. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing tons of people being like, whoa, this bans websites. It bans websites where you can create an account, generate content, share content, create an account, view content, and it has to be from one of 4 countries. And that's basically saying, like TikTok.com, it doesn't ban you from viewing the website. It doesn't ban anyone from going to the website or using it. It restricts US companies from providing hosting services to adversary apps. That means under this bill, what would happen is TikTok could still exist, but you'd have to download the app through the APK, and you'd have to jailbreak your iPhone. Now, certainly that does effectively ban it for most people who use iPhones, but you're still able to go to any website you want, even if it's run in China. The section that Thomas Massie posted, I'll read it for you. It says, the term foreign adversary controlled application means a website, desktop application, mobile application, or augmented or immersive technology application that is operated directly or indirectly, including through a parent company, subsidiary, or affiliate by A, any of 1, ByteDance Ltd, 2, TikTok, 3, a subsidiary or a successor to any entity identified in clause 1 or 2 that is controlled by a foreign adversary, or an entity owned, controlled directly or indirectly by an entity identified in clause 1 or 2, 3, or a covered company, B, a covered company that 1, is controlled by a foreign adversary, and 2, that is determined by the president to present a significant threat to the national security of the United States following the issuance of 1, a public notice proposing such determination, and 2, a public report to Congress submitted not less than 30 days before such determination, describing the specific national security concern involved and containing a classified annex and a description of what assets would need to be divested to execute a qualified divestiture. The important thing to understand here, the bill does not ban anything. It outright says you must divest. In the instance, the president says, hey, this website that allows people to create accounts, log in, post content, and other people to log in, post and view that content has investment from Iran. I hereby decree as a threat, you have to divest that. So what would happen? The app would not be banned. They would simply say, hey, this Iranian guy who owns $10 million in the app, he's got to sell that to someone else. Otherwise, the company can't operate here. It just ensures that there are American interests controlling the app. This doesn't mean that, a lot of people are like, this means the CIA will control them. Like the CIA could shut down Twitter or X right now, with or without this bill. So I don't even think this bill is particularly the most effective thing. Now, here's the important part that I think Thomas Massie should have included. Section 4, just below what I read, says the term foreign adversary country means a country specified in section 4872D2 of Title 10 U.S. Code, which is specifically the Republic of North Korea, the Republic of China, Russian Federation, or the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's it. If there is a website, application, augmentive, whatever, blah, 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 that is controlled and operated by those 4 countries, by individuals working or companies from those countries, or people working for those countries, they would have to divest that interest. Otherwise, companies in the United States would not be allowed to provide hosting services. The app still exists. The network still exists. Anyone can still use it. You can still go to all of the crazy Iranian social media websites you want without any limitation, except you can't download it on the App Store. That's what's happening.
So unless X or Rumble was basically controlled and operated in the DPR, Korea, or the Islamic state of Russia, then nothing would happen with that.
So the only, and I don't see this being a real issue, but like if a guy from China buys a bunch of public stock legally in the app, then they would go to them and say, hey, he has to sell that, I guess.
Well, what's interesting here is it's not even all applications coming from these countries. It's applications that also pose a national security threat. And when you really look at the App Store right now and you try and look at, what else could we add to this list? Maybe WeChat, Lemon8, a subsidiary of ByteDance anyways. Like, there really isn't much left. We already established prior to the show starting, like, you can't even go after Telegram with this. Like, that is one that they would all love to go after, and it's not even included in this. It's such a narrow frame.
And look, there's a super chat right here from Nick Terpetro, who says, Tim, I seldom disagree with you, but the vagueness of this bill is terrifying. It gives the president unilateral and plenary authority to ban any website or app they want. No, it doesn't. Look, man, it's mind-blowing when I see so many people marching in lockstep believing something that is not correct. You can oppose the bill. You can say, I don't think we should force TikTok to divest. But the bill does not ban anything unless they refuse to divest from these countries or these individuals. Yeah. Which would mean Donald Trump or Joe Biden would have to come out and say, Rumble is being Rumble, specifically this individual within Rumble who has control in this way, receives funding in this way from this country. He needs to stop doing that. Otherwise, we will restrict it from being hosted in the United States. And then go, oh, okay, John, hey, that foreign agent contract you have, you got to stop. That's the first step. Right. It's got a judicial review section. Right of action, a petition for review challenging this act or any action finding a determination under this act may be filed only in the state's courts of D.C. And a lot of people are saying, aha, but D.C., that means it'll always go through because, Democrats and censorship or whatever. The United States Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia Circuit shall have exclusive jurisdiction over any challenge to the act, finding determination, et cetera, et cetera. Statute of limitations, a challenge may only be brought within 165 days. The most important thing to understand, this bill only bans things I can't think of the word. Banning is an action taken in the event divestiture does not happen. What the bill does is trigger a requirement for divestiture. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I thought the FCC member, I think his name is Brendan Carr, he had a pretty good, thorough breakdown of this about it's explaining very clearly the hoops that have to be jumped through. It's really threading a needle, this legislation. But in terms of the people that are losing their minds over this, I mean, these people are just traumatized by federal government legislation being weaponized in the past, right? I understand there's probably some bad faith arguments, but there's also people like the libertarians, which I cover. I mean, they basically live with that trauma for a long time, so they see this and they're just triggered instantly, right? Which I kind of understand. I can sympathize with that, but it's not on the page.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I knew nothing about this until Tim explained that, and just listening to the last 3 minutes, there's so much criteria that would have to be met to qualify anything for this. It seems totally reasonable to me.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.